Welcome to another episode of Front Page. I'm your host, Scott Cameron Goulet. Okay, let's get into it. We're going to talk about Georgia, of course, and there is also a Democrat whistleblower. We know with more and more people still stepping forward about the election irregularities that this is actually very good news for President Trump. And we also know that President Trump wants all eyes on January 6th to see who will do the right thing and object to the results where there is evidence the election was tampered with. We also have some very shocking news regarding China. Too many things happened in 2020, and among all the things, misfortune accounted for the vast majority. The protagonist of misfortune is, of course, the ordinary people. If we use a word to describe this year, we might say that it's been an unfortunate year. When we almost feel relieved as this year is dragging to its end, news that a new wave of the pandemic has arrived with a more serious trend. It is said that Beijing is about to lock down. Even though we haven't seen it here, the China virus has been very serious in China. Things really are backward there. The virus is serious in China, yet they pretend things are under control. Okay, so before we really get into it, if you like this channel, please hit that like button now. And if you haven't already subscribed, please subscribe now. And if you have been unsubscribed, please resubscribe now before we get started. Okay, let's get into it. I will be starting off with some startling news today, but we would be remiss if we didn't talk about this. They say good is rewarded and evil is punished. China is now really suffering from the CCP virus like no other country. Again, we would be remiss in not reporting this. So let's get the bad news out of the way before we move on to President Trump moving closer and closer to another 4 years. At the Pandemic Prevention and Control Conference in Beijing on December 26, Shen Yi, Deputy District Director Ji Shenwei, said that since December 25th, there have been 2 new confirmed cases of CCP virus in Shenyi District, and the whole district is in a state of war. He said there were only 2 new cases, so why the total lockdown? The Beijing authorities said that the area where the 2 confirmed patients live and work has been implementing closed-off management. Currently, they are carrying out nucleic acid tests on a large scale in key areas and plan to test up to 800,000 people. At the same time, in an area where 5 individuals with positive nucleic acid tests live has been put under closed-off management. Beijing authorities have asked teachers and students of Beijing universities to insist that they do not leave Beijing unless necessary, and that they do not leave the country, do not gather, and do not go to medium and high-risk areas. Beijing's official media, Beijing Daily, dispelled the rumor by saying that Beijing's declaration of a state of war was a rumor. The so-called rumor said that the 21-day separation quarantine is required for people entering Beijing, including those returning to Beijing. For those people who return to Beijing, in addition to the 21-day medical observation period, they must also hold a certificate of negative nucleic acid test within 7 days. But by the evening of December 25th, Beijing authorities had released 20 key points of prevention and control. They asked to curb the population flow and reduce the gathering of people during the New Year and the Chinese New Year. Communist Party officials were asked to take the lead, to stay in Beijing for the holidays, and to strictly approve and manage those who do need to leave the city. The subway restricts the flow by 90% to reduce the density of riders. These requirements are similar to Wuhan city's closure measurements that were taken at the beginning of this year. Is Beijing going to close off as well? Also, a variant virus has emerged in multiple countries. Let's look at the outbreak abroad. Following the discovery of a variant of the CCP virus from South Africa in the UK, a number of countries have announced the discovery of cases of this new variant of the virus. The French Ministry of Health said that a man in Tours returned to France from London on December 19th. After tested, he was diagnosed with the British variant of the virus, which is the first case found in France. Spanish Madrid Regional Government's Deputy Health Chief, Antonio Zapatero, also announced at a press conference on December 26 that 4 people in the Madrid area had been diagnosed with a variant of the CCP virus from the UK. Zapatero said that one of the infected persons was from the United Kingdom and was diagnosed on December 24th. The other 3 members of his family went to the hospital after showing symptoms. Japan reported on the 20th.
Hey, Senator Steve Daines here. I was in Georgia last week because these races are very critical to holding a Republican Senate majority. Our GOP candidates are being outraised by millions and they're trailing in the polls. We need you to chip in $5 or $10 and help Senators Kelly Loeffler and David Perdue win their races and protect our Senate firewall. Thank you, God bless, and Merry Christmas.
That a record number of 949 new cases of infection with the CCP virus had been reported, including a newly discovered variant of the virus that has a greater ability to spread. In addition, John Nkengasong, Africa's director of Centers for Disease Control, announced that another new variant of the novel coronavirus seems to have emerged. It is a separate lineage from the UK and the South Africa lineages. If the research confirms that a new variant of the virus has been discovered, it will add a new challenge to the world's pandemic preparedness. The CCP virus pandemic has been going on for more than a year, and there is still no light at the end of the tunnel. The old virus has not yet been overcome, and now 2 new variants of the virus have emerged. As I said before, this is a new disease before the old one is gone. So there are more and more people who believe that the Chinese Communist authorities should be held accountable for the global pandemic of the CCP virus. Not long ago, the polling firm Rasmussen released a national survey. It says that 60% of the respondents believed that the CCP should at least compensate for some of the enormous loss of life and property caused by the CCP virus. According to Ivana Stradner, an international law expert at the American Enterprise Institute for Public Policy, a Washington think tank, says that the Chinese Communist Party failed to notify the outside world in time for the outbreak, and now that more than 1 million people worldwide have died from the virus, it is entirely expected that the Chinese Communist Party should be held accountable. Okay, let's move on to some good news here in good old America. We have more on the election irregularities and would like to remind everyone about the 2 important events in early January, the first being the vote in Georgia. And of course, people are encouraged to keep their positive thoughts on January 6th, mostly because we need to preserve election integrity, not just have a certain politician win. Let's start off with a Democrat whistleblower. A Democrat whistleblower has actually exposed election. The National File has obtained an exclusive audio where Democratic political strategist Damian Jones has come forward to blow the whistle on a massive voter ring in Texas. The voter ring is overseen by Dallas Jones, who served as Texas political director for the Joe Biden presidential campaign. Both men are named Jones, so for clarity, we'll refer to the exposer Jones as just Damian, and the cheating Jones as Dallas Jones. On the tape, Sheila refers to Sheila Jackson Lee. The National File article delves into the massive evidence of voter including photographic evidence and sworn affidavits that emerged in Harris County of Texas. Harris County, home to Houston, Texas, is the third largest voting county in the country with approximately 2.5 million voters. So there is a saying, as Harris County goes, so goes Texas. As Texas goes, so goes the nation. Harris County conducted 24-hour voting on the election day, even as the county became engulfed in a voter scandal that ensnared the Joe Biden campaign's recent Texas political director, Dallas Jones. Dallas Jones was picked up by the FBI the weekend before last for 2 days of interrogation. Multiple sources confirmed that Dallas Jones was fired by the Biden campaign. The audio said that 20 private investigators have uncovered a great deal. What has been uncovered is a group of masterminds wanting to destroy the Texas voting voice. Some of the masterminds include Democratic County Commissioner Rodney Ellis and Democrat State Senator Boris Miles. Among the masterminds, they have two captains, Gerald Womack and Dallas Jones. They harvest ballots by mail from nursing homes, homeless centers, by going door to door in poor neighborhoods, often dressed as census workers. They would offer $50 gift cards in front of stores, asking people to take ballots by mail to sign and mail at a local post office. As National File reported, the evidence has been presented to local prosecutor Kim Ogg. These actions are crimes under Texas election code. Damian said the district attorney's office didn't even want to entertain our criminal complaint. Damian did not provide direct evidence, but the problems he uncovered existed elsewhere as well. Even so, the district attorney still did not want to take his criminal case. Damian's reference to the district attorney's unwillingness to handle the criminal cases actually reflects the problem of judicial corruption in the United States. Okay, and now let's talk about Georgia. Over 2 million voted in early voting for Senate runoff in Georgia. With less than 2 weeks to go before the Senate runoff, voter enthusiasm in the state of Georgia is already on the rise. On December 24th, state officials released early voting figures. The data shows that more than 2 million registered voters have already cast ballots in this crucial election, accounting for 26.7% of all registered voters and close to the number of early voters in the state in November's general election. Of these, more than 1.3 million voters cast early on-site votes at polling stations that have been open for a week and a half. More than 720,000 people voted as absentee voters. Again, there's a huge number of absentee voters, which has been known as one of the worst forms of in this year's presidential election. Now that there are 720,000 absentee ballots in Georgia, people are concerned whether these absentee ballots will also be fraudulent. That's why the federal justices should give a definitive answer as soon as possible as to whether the policy of absentee voters of the swing states are in violation of the Constitution. It is not difficult to find out the answer to this question, but it is difficult for the federal justices to have the courage to make the right decision. This is also a big test for the justices to see how they choose between right and wrong, good and evil. As I said before, the U.S. election is a test for everyone to see how and what they choose. Though it only poses a simple question, it is one's heart that is evaluated. Many people are expected to turn out in support of election integrity on January 6th. And several Congress-elect and members have said that they would be objecting. So I'm still very optimistic that the integrity of the election process will be preserved by the fake results not being accepted, and that justice is coming for those who deserve judgment. And in closing, our prayers go out to all those innocent people being trapped in a very unfortunate situation in communist-controlled China. America will never be a socialist country, not with all of us freedom-loving people. Okay, this is our show for today. Thank you for tuning in. Again, if you like what you heard, don't forget to like and subscribe and share this video with at least one of your friends, because everyone deserves to know the truth. Thank you again for watching Front Page, and we will see you next time.